Why you wear masks and don't even notice. You at work are different from you at home. You with your parents are different from you with friends. You at a party are different from you alone in your room. If someone asked you, who are you really? Would you know how to answer? Freud would explain that you have multiple masks, and maybe none of them are really you. But wait, this isn't lying or being fake. It's something much deeper and more interesting than you imagine. Before discovering how many masks you wear without realizing it, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Leave that like if you've also caught yourself being a completely different person depending on where you are, and share with someone who needs to discover who they really are behind all these masks. Now let's dive into what Freud has to teach us about our identity. The theater of your mind. Imagine your mind as a theater with three main characters always on stage. Think of it like this. There's the spoiled child who wants everything right. Now, the strict judge who's always criticizing, and the diplomat in the middle trying to keep everyone happy. Freud called these the ID, superego, and ego. And here's the thing. These three are constantly fighting inside you. And the masks you wear are actually your mind's way of dealing with this internal war. The ID is like that friend who always says, let's do it, without thinking about consequences. It's pure impulse, pure desire. If your ID ran the show, you quit your job every time your boss annoyed you. You'd eat dessert for every meal, and you'd tell everyone exactly what you think about them. It's the part of you that wants immediate gratification no matter what. The superego is the complete opposite. It's like having a harsh critic living in your head, constantly telling you what you should and shouldn't do. It's the voice that says good people don't think like that, or you should be ashamed of yourself. It's made up of all the rules, values, and expectations you've absorbed from your parents, teachers, society, and religion. And caught in the middle is your ego, the part of you that has to deal with reality. It's like a stressed out manager trying to satisfy an impossible boss, the superego, while dealing with a demanding employee, the ID, all while keeping the company running your actual life. The ego is constantly asking, how can I get what I want without getting in trouble or feeling guilty? Why we create different masks. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your mind creates different masks for different situations, because each situation activates different parts of this internal trio. At work, your superego might be in charge, making you the perfect employee who never breaks rules. At home alone, your ID might come out, and you're watching Netflix in your underwear eating ice cream straight from the container. With your parents, you might wear the good child mask, and with friends, the cool person mask. Think about it. You know, when you're with your work colleagues and you laugh at jokes that aren't really funny, or when you're with your family and suddenly you're using a different tone of voice, or when you're on social media and you only post the highlights of your life. These are all masks, and they're not necessarily bad. They're your mind's way of adapting to different social situations. But here's what's fascinating. Most people don't even realize they're doing this. You switch masks so automatically that it feels natural. It's like your mind has a whole wardrobe of personalities, and it picks the right outfit for each occasion without you even thinking about it. The automatic defense mechanisms. Freud discovered that we have these automatic psychological mechanisms that work like invisible masks. Let me give you some examples you'll definitely recognize. There's projection. That's when you blame others for feelings you don't want to admit you have. You know when you're in a bad mood and you say, why is everyone so grumpy today? That's projection. You're wearing the mask of the innocent victim while your mind throws your own grumpiness onto everyone else. Then there's reaction formation. This is when you act the complete opposite of what you really feel. You know that person who's super nice to everyone, but you can sense something fake about it? They might be wearing the "I'm so sweet" mask to hide their anger or resentment. Or maybe you've done this yourself, being extra polite to someone you actually can't stand. Rationalization is another common mask. This is when you make up logical sounding reasons for things you do for emotional reasons. Like when you buy something expensive and then spend 20 minutes explaining why it was a smart investment, instead of just admitting you wanted it. Sublimation is probably the most interesting one. This is when you take uncomfortable feelings and channel them into something socially acceptable. That friend who's always organizing everything, they might be channeling their need for control. That person who's always helping others, they might be dealing with their own need to feel valuable. It's not fake. It's your mind finding a healthy way to express difficult emotions. The price of constant masking. But here's the problem. Wearing masks all the time is exhausting. Your mind is constantly monitoring, adjusting, performing. It's like being an actor who never gets to leave the stage. And the worst part? Sometimes you wear masks for so long that you forget who you are underneath them. You know that feeling when you come home after a long day and you're completely drained. Even though you didn't do any physical work, that's the psychological exhaustion of maintaining different personas. Your mind has been working overtime to present the right version of yourself to the world. And then there's the anxiety. When you're constantly worried about maintaining the right mask, you start feeling anxious about being found out. You worry that people will discover you're not as confident as you seem, or as happy as you appear, or as together as you pretend to be. It's like living in constant fear that someone will see behind the curtain. Some people wear masks so habitually that they lose touch with their authentic feelings. They become experts at knowing what they should feel, but they're completely disconnected from what they actually feel. They can tell you what a good person would do in any situation, but they have no idea what they genuinely want to do. The social media mask phenomenon. Today's world has made mask wearing even more complicated. Social media has given us a whole new stage to perform on, and the pressure to maintain the perfect image is constant. You carefully curate your posts, choosing the right filter, the right angle, the right caption. You present a highlight reel of your life while hiding the behind-the-scenes reality. But here's what's really happening. You're not just fooling others, you're starting to fool yourself. When you constantly present a perfect version of your life, part of your mind starts to believe that this is who you really are. You create a gap between your online persona and your real experience, and that gap becomes a source of internal conflict. You start comparing your real life to other people's highlight reels, not realizing that everyone is doing the same thing. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's carefully constructed performance. It's like comparing your rough draft to someone else's published book. The relationship masks. Relationships are where masks become really complicated. You know how you might be one way when you're single and completely different when you're in a relationship, or how you change depending on who you're dating. That's because relationships activate different parts of your psyche. You might wear the perfect partner mask, always agreeable, never causing conflict, or the independent person mask, pretending you don't need anyone, or the damaged goods mask, always talking about your problems and traumas. These masks aren't necessarily lies. They're often based on real parts of yourself, but they're incomplete pictures. The tricky part is that sometimes you attract people who are responding to your mask, not to your authentic self. Then you're stuck maintaining that mask to keep the relationship, or you risk the relationship falling apart when your real self inevitably emerges. Finding your authentic self. So how do you figure out who you really are underneath all these masks? Freud would say the first step is awareness. You need to start noticing when you're putting on a performance. Pay attention to how you feel in different situations. When do you feel most like yourself? When do you feel like you're acting? Start asking yourself questions. Why do I act differently with these people? What am I afraid will happen if I show my real feelings? What would I do if I weren't worried about what others think? These questions can help you identify where your masks are the thickest. Here's something interesting. Your authentic self isn't necessarily the opposite of your masks. Sometimes your masks contain real parts of you. The trick is figuring out which parts are genuinely you and which parts are just performance. Maybe you really are caring and helpful, but you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Maybe you really are ambitious and driven, but you're also performing success for others. Your authentic self is probably a combination of all your different masks, plus some things you've been hiding. It's the person you are when you're not trying to be anyone in particular. It's your thoughts when you're not censoring them, your feelings when you're not managing them, your desires when you're not judging them. The balance between authenticity and adaptation. Now, here's something important. You don't want to throw away all your masks. Some level of social adaptation is necessary and healthy. You probably shouldn't act exactly the same way at your grandmother's funeral as you do at a wild party. The goal isn't to be completely unfiltered all the time. That would be exhausting for everyone around you. The goal is conscious choice. Instead of automatically putting on masks, you want to be aware of when and why you're doing it. You want to choose your level of authenticity based on the situation and your own well-being, not out of fear or habit. Think of it like this. Instead of being an actor who's trapped in a role, you want to be a director who consciously chooses how to present yourself. You're still making choices about how to behave, but you're doing it from a place of self-awareness rather than automatic reaction. The freedom of being known. One of the most liberating experiences is finding people who know you without your masks and still accept you. These are the relationships where you can drop the performance and just be. You know you found these people when you feel energized after spending time with them, instead of drained. But here's the catch. You have to be willing to be known. You have to risk showing your real self, including the parts you're not proud of. This is scary because it means risking rejection, but it's also the only way to build genuine connections. When you're constantly wearing masks, you're essentially saying the real me isn't good enough to be loved. But when you take the risk of being authentic, you give people the chance to love the real you. And that's when you discover that you're more lovable than you thought. Your masks as information. Instead of seeing your masks as problems to be solved, try seeing them as information about yourself. What do your masks tell you about your fears? What do they reveal about your desires? What do they show you about what you think you need to be acceptable? If you always wear the helpful person mask, maybe you're afraid of being seen as selfish. If you always wear the tough person mask, maybe you're afraid of being seen as vulnerable. If you always wear the successful person mask, maybe you're afraid of being seen as a failure. Your masks are like a map of your insecurities, but they're also a map of your values. They show you what you think is important, what you're afraid of losing, and what you hope to gain. Understanding your masks can help you understand yourself. The ongoing process. Here's the truth. You'll probably never completely stop wearing masks. We're social creatures, and some level of adaptation is part of being human. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness and choice. You'll still find yourself putting on performances sometimes. You'll still catch yourself being who you think others want you to be. The difference is that now you'll notice it happening. You'll be able to ask yourself, is this mask serving me? Or am I serving the mask? And gradually, you'll find that your masks become lighter. Instead of heavy costumes that you can't take off, they become more like accessories that you can choose to wear or not wear. You'll find that you need fewer masks because you're more comfortable with who you are underneath. So, what do you think? Do you recognize yourself in any of these masks? If this video helped you understand something about yourself, leave that like and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the bell because every week there's new content to help you decode the mysteries of your own mind. And now, I want to know from you, what's the biggest mask you wear? When do you feel most like yourself? And when do you feel like you're performing? Tell me here in the comments. I read them all and always respond. See you in the next video.